Hey everyone, I'm here to do a follow-up on the video I did talking about Ken Penders' impression and reaction, basically telling it like it is, shooting, if you will, on Ian Flynn's current story writing. And I recently, and I explained, like I said, you can see the link here on the description box, on this description box as well as the one previously. But basically, what I'm saying, I thought I'd follow this up because last night I was watching, and you can even read this as part of the description box when you click on the link. You can read my comments as well. But basically, last night I was watching a DVD I recorded of one of the E! True Hollywood Stories episodes, and it was on Saved by the Bell. Now I know you might say, well, what does Saved by the Bell have to do with this? Well, Saved by the Bell basically kind of, in a way, falls in this category. You see, one of the things they talked about was when Saved by the Bell went to the college years, went to spin off into the college years, or basically expand into the college years, as well as into the new class. They basically broke the cardinal rule, which was, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. So, you might ask yourself, how does this fall into that category? Well, basically how this falls into that category is the fact that what Ken is saying about Ian is that it's sort of the same thing, and you can probably find this episode of E! True Hollywood Story on Saved by the Bell if you Google, and you find a way to download it, because it's out there. I've seen it. But anyway, basically what Ken is saying is exactly what the former head of the Saturday morning division on NBC said, that they were basically, that Ian is basically doing the same stories, if not similar stories, to what was done before. And kind of like what Dustin Diamond said about, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. It's kind of basically what he's saying about the college years, is they were expanding on something that didn't need to be expanded. Basically saying, once the graduation episode special finale was of the original Saved by the Bell was done and completed, should have just left it. Shouldn't have expanded into prime time, shouldn't have expanded into a new series, shouldn't have done any of that, should have just left it. So that's basically, and I know this probably doesn't make sense, that's basically, I think, in a way what Ken has been trying to say, is saying about Ian, if you're going to come on board, don't expand on something, or don't try to fix something that doesn't need fixing. Do your own thing. New class, despite the fact that it didn't, gain the same kind of fan base and popularity that the original Saved by the Bell did, it still, in a way, had enough strength, I guess you could say, and enough original stories most of the time to expand up until 1999. The reason I say that is because, with a few exceptions, because like I said, one of the replies I did on the site to this article was that basically, just like with Ian, the new class, 25% of the time, or let's say 50% of the time in the case of the new class of Saved by the Bell, they had original stories. We didn't know what was going to happen. But then 50% of the other time, they would do stories that were the same kind of stories, if not similar, to what the original class had done. And like I said, I know it sounds a little confusing, but if you look at it in a way, that's kind of what Ken is saying about Ian right now. Ian, 25% of the time, from what I've seen, and this is just my opinion, will surprise us and catch us off guard with some of his stories. But 75% of the other time, we'll usually find out despite it's myself or anybody else, will basically guess and find out exactly what's going to happen in the next couple of issues, or what's going to happen in the next storyline or story arc. And in a way, with New Class, that's sort of in the category of New Class. And again, when it comes to the college years, basically it's kind of like Ian expanding off Ken's work. The college years was basically expanding off the original series when it should have just ended right then and there. But when you look at it, it can be understandable why they expanded it, because they wanted to find closure. Now, just like New Class, in a way they were doing the same kind of storylines. You know, for example, Kelly Kapowski was falling in love with somebody else instead of Zach, and here's Zach trying to pursue her, but at the same time he's falling for one of the popular, if not one of the most renowned students, you know, in the university. So, similar things to what you saw in the original Saved by the Bell, they were doing in the college years, until finally, just like in the original Saved by the Bell, at the end, Kelly and Zach were together, and at the end of the college years, they were together, and thus they got married in the movie. Now, I know you're probably thinking, well, that's not going to happen in the comic book, as far as Sega's concerned. Well, it's an old saying, you never say never. But that's basically, I know it sounds like a weird comparison, that's basically what it is. It's sort of in that category. You know, college years is expanding off of what the original one did, and doing the similar kind of storylines, you know, with Kelly and Zach and so on. And New Class basically succeeded kept afloat, if you will, for 4 years, because 50% of the time it had stories that we never heard of, never knew about, but also 50% of the other time it did stories that we already had seen and heard about with the original. And again, I know that sounds like a strange comparison, but that's exactly how Ken's looking at it. And as a fan, you got to look at it in that way too. But anyway, I thought I'd just do that little bit of a follow-up with that kind of comparison. I know it didn't make sense. And if you got any comments, let me know. I'll talk to you all later.